Hey everyone, and welcome back to Modern Tech Creators. Have you ever typed out a line of code and wondered, how does my computer actually know what to do with this? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and talk about one of the key tools that makes it all happen, the interpreter. Let's get right into it.
So here's the deal. We as humans write code in languages like Python or JavaScript. They're designed to make sense to us, using words we can read. But here's the problem. Your computer's brain, the processor, has no idea what print means. It only speaks in ones and zeros, pure machine code.
And that right there, that's what we call a language gap. On one side, you've got us speaking our nice, readable programming languages, and on the other side, you have the computer, just waiting for those raw, low-level instructions. So, how do we bridge this gap? We need some kind of translator.
And that, my friends, is where the interpreter comes into the picture. Think of it as a special kind of program that acts like a personal, real-time translator for your code.
So, what is it exactly? Well, an interpreter is a program that reads your code, and instead of translating the whole thing at once, it takes it one single line at a time. It translates that one line, runs it, and then moves on to the next. And that idea, that one line at a time thing, that is the absolute key to understanding what an interpreter is all about.
Okay, so how does this whole thing actually work? Like, what's happening behind the scenes? It's actually a pretty simple step-by-step process, and understanding it is going to show you both its biggest strengths and its biggest weaknesses.
It's really just a simple three-step loop that keeps repeating. First, the interpreter grabs one line of your code. Second, it translates that single line into machine instructions the computer can understand. And third, this is the important part, it runs those instructions immediately. Then it just does it all over again for the next line, and the next, and the next.
So, you can see it creates this continuous flow. Read line 1, run line 1. Read line 2, run line 2. There's no waiting around. The second a line understood, it gets put into action. This immediate feedback is what makes interpreters so cool.
You know, the best way to think about this is to imagine a live translator at a big conference. The speaker says one sentence, the translator immediately translates that sentence for the audience. They don't wait for the whole speech to be over, right? They do it piece by piece. That is literally what an interpreter does with your code.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract computer science idea. Interpreters are everywhere in the real world. Let's take a look at where you'll find them.
Chances are, you've already used languages that use an interpreter, maybe without even knowing it. Python, which is a giant in data science and web development, is a classic example. And JavaScript, the language that makes basically every website interactive, that's run by an interpreter right inside your web browser. Other big ones include Ruby and MATLAB.
All right, let's look at a super simple chunk of Python code and see exactly how an interpreter would handle it. On line 1, it sees name equals world, and boom, it creates that variable. Then it moves to line 2, sees the print command, and immediately you see hello world on your screen. On line 3, it does the math, 10 plus 5, and stores 15 in result. And finally, on line 4, it prints that number, 15. Every step happens one after the other, instantly.
But you know, this whole one line at a time thing, it's not perfect. It has some really clear upsides, but it also comes with some definite downsides. You've got to understand the trade-offs.
And to really get a grip on those trade-offs, you have to compare it to the other big player in this game, the compiler. So while an interpreter translates line by line as it goes, a compiler takes your entire program and translates it all at once into a separate file. This one difference changes everything. So let's talk about the good stuff first. Why would you want to use an interpreter? Well, finding and fixing mistakes, what we call debugging, is way easier. If you have a bug on line 10, the program stops right there and tells you exactly where the problem is. Plus, your code is more portable. You can take the same Python script and run it on Windows, a Mac, or a Linux machine, no problem, as long as they all have the Python interpreter installed.
Okay, but here's the catch. The main trade-off, the biggest disadvantage, is speed. Because the interpreter has to do that translation work every single time you run the program, it's just naturally slower than code that's already been pre-translated by a compiler. All that on-the-fly work adds up and can slow things down.
All right, that was a lot to cover. Let's do a quick recap of what we've learned today.
So, at the end of the day, what do you really need to remember? An interpreter is a line-by-line code translator. It reads and runs your code at the same time, which gives you that instant feedback. This makes it amazing for debugging and makes your code really flexible. The only catch? That convenience usually comes at the cost of speed.
And that kind of leaves us with a cool question to think about. When is that instant feedback and flexibility
actually more important than just raw speed. Think about things like web development, or analyzing data, or even just when you're first learning how to code. Sometimes seeing results right away is the most valuable thing of all.
Well, I really hope this helped clear things up and gave you a solid understanding of what an interpreter is all about. If you found this useful and you want to keep breaking down complicated tech topics just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching.